Well, here's a piece of an old plaster frame. Oops. Here are two pieces of an old plaster frame. And I thought, well, before it completely falls apart, I thought I would use it to maybe inspire something. And I don't know what that's going to inspire because I haven't figured it out yet. My thought was, I had a thought, and the thought was, it would start out with this, but then maybe flow off into other stuff. And then I looked at the actual chipping that was happening, and I thought, well, maybe I'll draw something different. I will draw it differently, and I will draw something different, but I don't know what I'm doing now. I'm just wasting your time. I'm not necessarily wasting my time, but I'm wasting your time. So let's pretend I had to draw this thing, and I had to draw it in black and white. How would I distinguish the chipping bits from the unchipped bits? I imagine there's some way to do that. I don't know what that way is, though. What way will I use? I think the idea of having the chipped bits sort of be seen like that, where they're drawn sort of crudely, not crudely, but differently. And does that work? Who knows if that works? Drawing, the subject matter of drawings can be so banal, and the drawings that can come from it are so beautiful, can be so beautiful. There's a beautiful drawing that Charles Aikens did of a lathe. It looks like it's a drawing that would have been used in the patent office to build the lathe or to patent the lathe, but it's just so elegantly done, and it's just a lathe. I mean, maybe it was a brand new lathe and it had some excitement to it because it was a new type of lathe, but it just was, I guess the point of my babbling on at 6 a.m. is that anything you draw can become an interesting drawing. And if you take something that's really, really interesting and try to draw it, you better be good at it, because if you're not good at it, that interesting thing, that really, really interesting thing is going to look really uninteresting, and you're going to lose out on the import that you had hoped it would have. Now, this doodlement that I'm doing here is certainly not turning into anything profound or even beautiful or even clever or even anything, but I'm pushing my pen around and getting my brain and getting my hand awake. And that by itself is worth doing. Now, whether it's worth taking a movie of and posting on YouTube and advertising it as something, I don't know, but it is. I hate when people say it is what it is. That doesn't say a goddamn thing. So I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it is what it is. I am what I am. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say it is an exercise. It's sort of like the exercises you are supposed to do when you're learning how to play the piano. All those awful books of exercises where it's like when you look at the notes on those exercise books, it looks like the piano is trying to imitate the sound of a machine gun. Just all of these 16th notes and chords and stuff going up and down scales, and it just it looks just as boring as I'm sure it sounds. But you need to do that to get your hand and your brain and everything else awake and fingers moving around, and that's what this is doing. You know what I need help with is drawing curves. I know I do that with calligraphy all the time, but why can't I do it better than I do it? Because I don't practice enough. That's why. I've answered my question. You don't have to answer, but that's why. Because I don't practice enough. I'm drawing all these dark lines using a pen that really doesn't flex very much. I should be using a different pen. There we go. Rather than making 30 little tiny lines with this pen, I can use just this pen to make my dark areas by pressing down. Okay, now what do I do with this thing that I've started? Can this turn into something else? Should I just leave it be? This doesn't really look like these. I'm trying to, one of my first thoughts in this particular thing was to see if I could draw the chips as being, oh, the kitty's going to join us now. Kitty, what are you doing? Oh, I know. Orca, here, move. You're just going to sit right there? You just got your paws full of ink, kitty. Oh. Here, move. Look, kitty. Well, I guess I'm done. Oh, I know. Oh, bite me, bite me. Oh, oh. There. Ta-da.